Just a quick heads up, this video is not a financial advice. It's created purely for informational and educational purposes to empower you with knowledge and information. Before making any investment moves, it's smart to get proper financial guidance. And guess what? GBOSHE FX don't just share content. He coach, guide, and support you on your journey to smarter investing. Let's delve to the weekly pre-market outlook.
Hello guys, trust you're doing wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes, another wonderful analysis session with GBOSHE FX. This is another model. So prior to this time, we have been having, just the chart outlook without any voice speeches as concerning how the analysis flow we're looking like, and I think because of emphasis, it is good I look into, that is the vocal aspect of this now, so that clarity can also be gotten. Right, thank you very much. So if you are just joining me for the first time, this is GBOSHE FX, your go-to Forex coach and mentor on the way to profitability in Forex trading. Okay, so this is just a weekly analysis session. I do this as a routine every Sunday. The analysis is always out. So today we'll be looking at something more, more special and something more interesting, right? We'll be looking at cash print update for the week. Yes, cash print update for the week. So first of all, I like you looking at gold. So this was the analysis we did last week. So let's study this analysis together, right? Yes, because every setup, if it comes from a systematic system, that means it has approach, it has system to its crafting, right? So let's look at this. If you look this, you will notice that it was just a straight SL, right? Yes, it was just a straight SL. But let me tell you what would have happened. So you see this point. Okay, first let me say this was the daily time frame. So using the daily time frame, just looking at this market, you notice that there were little kind of consolidation at this point before a kind of breakout. So because of this breakout, narrowing down to my lower time frame, I was expecting maybe a kind of reaction from this point. You can see I tag it as good supply zone. So this was a good supply zone, so I was expecting a reaction that is maybe at this point from here. And what was that reaction? This is the structure. Just look at this, guys. This is the structure. So first, this is a kind of reversal pattern. You can call this head and shoulder pattern. You can call this trend reversal pattern. Why? Because of this indication. Why? Because this is our zone of interest, good supply zone. So I was expecting this move. There may be consolidation at this point. There may be a breakout to the downside. Then this was where I would have considered this re-entry, right? So maybe you would have looked at this trade and say, oh, it was just a straight SL. No. Normally, what happened is we do not take this trade. Why? Because market just broke out of this supply zone, indicating weak strength of gold at this point. So I'll go ahead and delete this. And this I'll go ahead and delete it because this level has been invalidated, but we can still make reference to that future purposes. So now if you look at this, let's look at this now. Let's do overall top-down analysis to just know what we are expecting in gold for the Y now for the coming week. Gold is a good cash flowing system, right? It's a very good cash flowing system. So you can see all of these are just my levels, my levels of interest. So looking at this first, we can see that there was a brief, there was a tug of war at this point. So normally, let me show you guys something, just a brief one. So if you look at this is my overall and my overall strategy. So anytime I do strategy, it is just coined from this particular system, GBOSHE FX breakout plus supply and demand strategy, my personal Forex weapon. So looking at this, yes, this is one strategy overview, your edges. Trading breakout from key supply and demand zone. That is why you always see me illustrate in my chart key supply and demand zone, or maybe good supply and good demand zone, as the case may be. So trading breakout from key supply and demand zone only after price has shown intent to momentum and structure. Then you wait for a retest and confirmation, and I only enter when the market invites me. Motto, I don't change, all those ones. Then now bias 1 hour and 4 hours, then supply zone 1 hour 4 hours, the entry confirmation 15 minutes or 5 minutes. So thank you very much. So just drawing emphasis from here to build up. So now looking at this trade, first of all, My analysis comes in just two approach. First, the top down analysis, and then I find my entry model. Yeah, so seeing this is a reaction from this point. So we can see that you can see this trend line. The market has been running, pullback, little pullback, running, little pullback, little pullback, running up to this point, and then we get this massive drop. If you look at this is a low, and this was maybe broken out, and this was a good demand zone. Maybe I marked this in one of my analysis, expecting market to react for me and going back up before maybe dropping. So, but then it reacted for some time, and now it finally came to this point, reacting. So let's look at this trade and let's look how we can position with other key levels now that we can see, knowing what might happen. Okay, so now looking at this is a trend line. So this trend line has been broken. That's what we can see first. It has been broken. Market has broken back into this trend, and now reacted to this little this supply zone. So now if you can look at this, see guys, be very sensitive. Like my FX weapon said, what did he say? He said trading breakout from key supply and demand zone. So let's look at this now. What can we see from this point? Now you can look at this and say this is a breakout, but ultimately trade the trend. We are trading the trend. So there's this my reversal pattern. You always see me using my entry model, something like this. Okay, see this now. This is a structure. This is a structure. Let's study this structure together. Down, up, and then down to this point. So if you look at this is a 4-hour time frame. What do you notice? Notice that there is a kind of reversal pattern here within. So now you can go ahead to mark this first. This was a breakout. I'm marking this at last. This is another breakout, right? Yeah. So what can we see? We can see that, okay, to some extent, market is gradually pulling down gradually. It is pulling down gradually. So what do we see as traders? What do we see? So first of all, this is a trade idea for the week. So now this is what you might likely watch out for. Okay, let me mark this from 4-hour. I just mark out my supply zone, and this look like a good zone of interest for me. So I can tag here good supply zone, right? Good supply. So please stay with me. You are building your cash print for the week. Yes, so you need to be very diligent and pay attention to this. Okay, so I can change this now to the 1-hour time frame. And now what can you see? You can see this is a breakout, and also it validated it at this point, and now you see this reaction. So now this is it for what we call the confirmation entry. I don't like entering trade just like that. No. So what will I be expecting for the week to do? Maybe I'll be expecting something here, a reaction here like this. Most times it can be like this, down, then a kind of sweep. This one might be, we can call it stop loss hunt. Maybe this can be called inducement, or as the case may be, depending on the ICT concept or any concept you're looking at. You see, this one can be liquidity grab also, but I like seeing this kind of pattern. Then a breakout, then a retest at the lower time frame, boom. Then guys, I'm ready to take this trade down. Sorry for the interruption. I'm ready to take this trade down. Maybe here can be the first target. You get the point? Yeah, so let's look at this and check why it will be the first target. So why is this the first target? Okay, ultimately you might, okay, for you to be safe, maybe for those that like scalping also, this might be your first target, your first TP target at this point. That is after catching this market from here. This might be your first TP target. So instead of you just using limit order, no, just wait for this kind of confirmation, and you can do this in the 15 minutes time frame, right? Then this will be your entry. Maybe gold, sometimes when gold start falling, it just falls without maybe little or minimum retracement. But also I'll also do a video as time permit very soon on the different entry models that can be very effective for your trading usage. Okay, so now this can be maybe the first target, right? But don't just chase it first, but wait for this reaction, because gold might just start buying back to the upside. So wait for this reaction, and then catch it here to some extent with a little pullback, and then first target, this is a swing low, it might come and wipe it, and then this is the second target. Let's see the risk to reward. This is 5.46. wow. It means for every maybe $10 you'll be getting $50. For every $20 you'll be getting $146. So yes, so this is one of the trade setup for this week. But now let's also look at the overall view Yes, I think for this week, when we are just saying weekly analysis, it is just focused on how we can take advantage for that week, right? Yeah, so maybe this is one of those setup I think will likely happen more easily than often, right? Yeah, but just wait for market to do its thing at this point before you catch the trade down. I think that is the best thing to do. And now, when market is coming down to this point, then maybe you can expect some consolidation. You understand? Yeah. So you want to be careful. You want to be careful where you are trailing your market to this point. Make sure you are trailing the market, because this is gold. You might come here and maybe use this as a kind of demand zone, and then start reacting back to the upside. So this is another support in a way. So let me put this second TP here, and let me put this first TP. So this is our first trade for the week, guys. So this is gold. So let's watch this out and see how it goes within the week. Yeah, let's watch this and see how it goes within the week. So guys, the next pair we'll be looking at is US 100. Yes, US 100. I like gold and US 100. It can help you print cash. And now when we are talking about cash, we really need to position for the asset that has the capacity to print those cash, right? Yeah. Okay, guys, so this is US 100. This is why I'm explaining all of this. It's very important that I explain this, right? And that is why I'm making this session more interactive. That is, now you can hear me talk. And for some time now, I've not really been on that, but let's say from now hence, I'll try to incorporate this as the normal. Yeah. Okay, so looking at this, we were expecting some bullish ride from this market, but I was taking along the fundamentals and also the projection for the US 100 as well as S&P 500, because you know what, the US 100 as well is correlated with the S&P 500. That is from research anyway. Yeah, that is from research, and to some extent they have almost the same characteristics, that is in their candlestick chart movement. So this was what I projected for last week. I was expecting first a breakout from this trend, and then a continuation, maybe to this point first. This was a significant level for me. Before, I was expecting, okay, market to start dropping, but on doing the research, it was last week, I came to realize that financial institutions and good financial maybe fund managers, they are holding this point as a good resistance zone. I noticed that they are holding this point as a good resistance zone. So they were just expecting the S&P to deliver, let me say, a 10% overall for the year. But if you check, it was as if maybe it had reached 10%, but now it was consolidating around 8% or so. That is for the year. If you look at this pair, if you know very well, for this year it has just been buying drastically. So you can see this now. This is a weekly time frame. So this is July, this is May, this is April. Okay, after this drop, see from here, this is April. You can see this big push. Like, this is massive, guys. This is massive. And in as much, if you are positioning, you would have made a lot of money from this catch, right? For day traders, swing traders, and as the case may be. So let's look at this setup. Let's look at the did and what we were not supposed to do. Okay, so looking at this, if you notice, this breakout was fulfilled. This criteria was fulfilled. I expected this breakout from this point, breakout, and then breakout up to this point. This was my zone. I marked this trend line as one of those confirmation, and also this as one of those confirmation as well. Then after this breakout to this point, expecting a pullback, and then I'll ride it up to the upside. But when looking at this market, I was observing this breakout. Market came at this point, and this was the point that it was forecasted that is a good resistance zone. So if you notice, market struggled there, came back, struggled there, and it never broke out from this zone. You see, guys, this is why it is good to trust your system. It never broke out from this zone. It just ranged around this point. So this criteria wasn't met. Why? Because there was no breakout from this resistance, and it makes sense, very clear. But now, maybe if you were thinking, okay, you want to cash this trend trade, you would have looked at this, and this was a little retrace. This was a good entry, catching this back to maybe this point, okay, or maybe this point, sorry. You would have entered it, then maybe you would have after market came and formed this going back up. At least wisdom is supposed to tell you that you are supposed to break even at this point. So breaking even at this point, what does it entail? It entails that this trade finally hit break even. So this was also a safe trade, or this was just a break even trade. Yeah, a break even trade. So this is it, guys. So after the reaction from this point, what are we looking for now? What are we looking at? How are we positioning for this week? So I will go ahead and delete all of this now, and I'll just leave my zones valid. Yes, my zones valid. So if you look at this liquidity, so now this was liquidity. Now in this time, this was liquidity. It is important to see liquidity. Don't play with liquidity in the market, please. If you want to make money and you don't want to be stopped out anytime you just enter the market, please study liquidity. Maybe as we have it, we'll have some session on that as well. Okay, so this was liquidity. Liquidity was taken. Now this is for this week, and now what can we see? So first, I like drawing my trend line. So now you can see the market is forming a new trend. So we just have to observe and see if it will be respected or if it will be tempered with. So from this point, I can just say this is a demand zone. From this point, this is reacting as a demand zone. So what do we have, and what can we be expecting for the week? Okay, so now we can see this as a resistance. Yes, so I think catching another good trade, we can look at this point for a supply zone. Looking at this point for a supply zone, yes, making sense. And also see US 100, there's another entry model you need to use in US 100. It is good if you can introduce the engulfing. If you are thinking of selling, then the bearish engulfing is a good pattern. So maybe at this point, US 100, we can expect maybe a pull down little, then a reaction at this point. Please wait for this reaction. A reaction at this point, then to some extent you want to see maybe this kind of breakout. Please, it's good to use confirmation entry. Then after a retest entry, maybe you can still take it down to this point. This is what I'm looking at, because I'm not seeing US 100 anytime soon be buying above this point, breaking out. But just in case it does that, then the narrative will change. That is why we are using what? Our confirmation entry. They will be taking it down to this point. So from US 100, another trade setup. So gold, the trade setup, the 1:3 arrow, and the overall was the other one was 1:5.45 arrow. And now US 100, we are seeing 1:3.75 arrow. The good thing about this trade, it can play out on Monday, you can play out on Tuesday or Wednesday, or as the case may be. So this is not just top-down overall analysis. No, this is just weekly kind of analysis. Watch out. Yeah, and first you need to watch out for it, and then you need to confirm it before taking it. Okay, guys. So the next analysis will be DXY. Let's look at DXY, since this is an interactive one. Most of the time DXY is being overlooked, but no, it's not supposed to be like that. No, you can see this chart is very dirty, but don't worry, within a couple of seconds now I will get everything clear. So you don't mind all this line. So is don't mind all this line. Okay, let me first of all delete all of this. So this is DXY, this is DXY, this is DXY. So I like looking at DXY to determine the fate of the dollar pairs. Yes, to determine the fate of the dollar pairs. So you see, look at DXY. I projected this some certain time that okay, I'm expecting a reaction up to this point, and then a reaction at this demand zone. And I think to some extent, there's been some kind of confirmation to that extent. So this is a trend line. Notice this now. This is a trend line within, and let's see if there was a breakout. Okay, there was a slide. Okay, a kind of breakout from this trend line. See this, a retest, and now market is reacting at this point. But now if we can look at the higher time frame, We look at this from the higher time frame. This is 1 day. Let me see 1 week. You notice that there is this reaction at this point. So now we are positioning for the weekly catch. This is weekly catch we are positioning for, not just to know the top down analysis and know the direction for the month, but that is also valid as well. We want to see how possibly we can get a good trade setup for this asset. So looking at this now, this is the XY. So if you notice, there have been some retesting at this trend line. See, retest, come down, retest, and now this is also engulfing or pin bar, bearish pin bar at this key level. So what do we expect? But see, overall I did this is what I was expecting. The market trade into this zone, let me get this kind of reaction, and then let me get a breakout up, then a retest. So I think to some extent, maybe okay, now this is it. Now I can shift this to this point. If this works, then fine, DXY will be bullish. This is what it means, that DXY will be bullish. But now looking at this, I can mark out this point as a supply zone right here. So I can see all of this as liquidity. So for the week, so this, if this happens, it makes it, and I will tell you how we can cash this as well. But now if there is a reaction at this point, and instead of that we get something like this, then a retest can take this trade, this mark pair or this asset down to this support first. So instead of this, we can get something like this from this supply zone, right? It makes sense, right? It makes sense. But now this is another thing we need to watch out for. If we are not catching this, we can position for these buys just in case there will be good confirmation. So this is a trend line. This is, I can spot this at this point. So this trend line, if we get a breakout from this trend line, you get the point, right? Yeah, a breakout from this trend line, then it is indicating maybe to some extent strength. And now this is the reaction. I want to see an inverse head and shoulder, and this is already happening, right? This is not looking like a shoulder, but this is almost in the higher time frame. This is a double bottom. This is also a kind of reversal pattern. So we want to see the confirmation at this zone. If there's a breakout from this zone, then a slight retest, we can cash this market back to this point. It will be very sweet, I'm telling you guys. But now, just in case there's a reaction at this point, like I did at first, then we can take this trade down. So now you don't trade DXY. Only some brokers allow those leverage. Now this DXY has given us idea for Euro USD and GBPUSD. So let's look at that now. First, let's look at Euro USD. Yes, Euro USD, guys, is a wonderful opportunity. Okay. So this is Euro USD. Wow. So if you notice, this is looking at this trade has been liquidated. You know, SA has been hit. But let's see this. Let's study the entry model behind this trade. Now looking at this, let's just say this is the 1 day from the daily time frame. You can see that I marked this out as a good supply zone. You know, this market was overstretched. Based on this stretch, now I was looking at this as the next zone of interest. But now looking at the 4 hours, we have some zone that captures our interest. You know, me, I like trading from supply or demand zone. That is my entry model. So I marked this out as maybe the supply zone to watch out for. Right? Yeah. So now if you notice at this point, when market traded into the zone, what happened? This was the point. Makes sense. I was noticing this. It came down, it formed this low, and then it broke back into the zone to this point. What is my confirmation? This is my confirmation entry. Go up. This was the low. Now I want to see a breakout from this zone and then a retest, but it never happened. So let me delete this. So instead, what happened? I tend to ride through the supply zone. But now, not like this supply zone is not effective. It is effective. But now I can now draw it well. So can draw it to this point, supply zone. This makes sense. From this point is a supply zone. So now we can get, we are seeing a reaction at this supply zone. Yeah, this reaction is happening at this supply zone, and it makes sense, right? So what is the next thing to watch out for? So during this week, just for us to be very sensitive, right? Yes, so this is a low, but I will show you the best thing to do. This is a low. and now this, okay, let me say this is a low. Confirmation is always the best. I'm telling you, confirmation is always the best. So looking at this, okay, this, let's say this is too far. We are just waiting for a reaction at this point. So but notice something at this zone. This is supply zone. Notice after this first tap rejected, this one rejected, this one rejected, then this one rejected. Notice now this is the highest high formed in this supply zone, right? So this is the highest high, and this is looking like a double top. It's looking as a double top 1 and 2, and then this bearish engulfing almost to the end. You understand? Yes. So and now there's this little momentum back up. So now this is what we are looking at. This is a zone. Yes, this is a zone. If we get a right through this zone as a break of structure, then good. Euro USD is about to take off. That is what it means now. That is what it means. So that is what I'm telling you now. If we get a breakout from this zone, it means Euro USD is about to take off, and this will be the next safe target. But I'm not even maybe expecting Euro USD to take off. I'm thinking from this point there will be a reaction to the downside. So let's see how that is possible still. But now this is one of the considerations that might happen. If there's a breakout from this zone, Euro USD, after maybe a little retest, it will be taken off. But now look at this. I've marked out this zone, and also I've marked out this zone, but now this is very far for us to maximize the pips, because this is just weekly analysis. So also me, I like putting adding so many perspective to my trading. So now look at this. Now there's a trend line, and also there is a horizontal line of interest as well. So looking at this, what can I be expecting for this week catch? I want to get a reaction like this, maybe a little drive, maybe if possible to this point. Then I want to get a break of structure to this point. I want to get a good break of structure. This will, number one, this will validate that okay, this trend has shifted from this trend line. That is, trend line shift makes sense, and also this support has been broken. So if this happen, then now this has given us that okay, to some extent Euro USD is about to tank down, and that means DXY will be buying. We did analysis on DXY as well. So we will just be expecting a pullback. Maybe it can be a little pullback, and then first target, please see, this is liquidity. This look as a kind of demand zone. So please, I would like you to target this point. Don't worry, I will show you how to maximize opportunity as well, so that this trade that you can see, you can make maybe the most of money that you might think of. So now 1 hour, 4 hours is to do our analysis, and then our entry model will be taken from the 30 minutes, 15 minutes time frame. So how will that be possible? First, let's see this breakout. If we are considering sells, this will validate the sells. After this breakout, then we'll wait for market to come to this point. So see, if you are catching market at this point for this test entry, use the 15 minutes. You get good confirmation. You get good confirmation entry, and that confirmation entry might look like this as well. After this breakout, you might see a big pump to the upside. You can maybe wait for inducement. Yeah, that is in the lower time frame. But after this breakout, wait for inducement. Maybe that is a sweep, a second sweep. Then after that sweep, if you just see an engulfing, you can even take this market, short it down to this point, and there your SL might be at that point, right? Yes, short it down, or maybe from this point you can wait for a little retest. So now where's the target? This is the target. Yes, this is the target. So now how are we catching this trade? Instead of us using a whole wide of SL, that's why I say first let's wait for this breakout. If this happens, then it shows that this double top will be protected. Then we can now position to take this trade at this point somewhere here, and now this will be our SL instead of just putting our SL at this top, then catching a swing. It's my swing, but I'm also coming to that as well. Then targeting this liquidity, this will make sense. This is a good target point, right? Yeah, Euro USD, just like Euro USD, like you like working according to supply and demand. I'm telling you, look at this. This is a breakout. This is a retest at this demand zone. This is that inducement I'm talking about, where you see a low, you see red, and you see a sweep before pull, before continuation of the trend. So this is a bullish trend. If this breaks to the downside, we expect a sell to catch a sell trade to this point first. But now another interesting thing is that when this market starts selling, what it means from this point is that it might react a little. Okay, this is even the support. Okay, so maybe if you are that, if you are that maybe kind of swing trader, you can maybe target this point. Okay, maybe just put it 1:4. Then there'll be a reaction here to some extent. Yes, there might be. So from here, maybe you are locking in this profit first. Then you wait for maybe a little pullback up. Then ultimately, for those that are swinging, it will make sense if you are just selling from here. Then maybe you can just target here at once. So this is the tank from the Euro USD, and then that means the XY will be buying, right? So we did analysis on DXY. If DXY is buying, that means this will be selling, and this is the zone. This is the targeted level right here. So let's see how it goes on Euro USD. But then if this happens, if this breaks out, we don't want to just see breakout from here, no, but breakout from this zone. If this happens, then we expect a retest, and maybe this can be a good target, or maybe this first, this can be a good target, right? Yes, but as we can see, this is a trend already from the higher time frame. Breakout, retest, breakout. This is a kind of retest to continue. So let's see how it goes. So another another USD both pair we'll be looking at is GBPUSD. GBPUSD, the pound dollar. So what are we expecting from the pound dollar? Okay, guys. So this was the trade I was positioning for the week. So let's see what happened. So at this point, I was expecting this slight pull back to this point, because you know why? This is my demand zone that I was looking at, because this was a breakout, my demand zone. So I marked this as my entry. So but now if you notice what happened, this market came down again. He came activated, went up almost. This was 1:2, maybe this 1:2 or so, and then came back down and then continued. So from this point, now this market, it is something to watch out for, because most of the time GBPUSD and EURUSD, they are to some extent correlated. But now what can we see from this point? I can see a different description altogether. So let me delete this first. It's not within emphasis, but now I can see this. Okay, let me use this. I can see this as a resistance. This is a resistance. See, this one is a resistance, and it has been broken, right? So this is a supply zone. It might likely work, but now let's build our framework. So now we can see this reaction at this point. I can mark this out that this is a demand zone. So if GBPUSD is reacting like this already, see, this where I'm targeting, that I'm expecting to sell GBPUSD from to get a reaction. So because of this, I can maybe say, okay, positioning for buys at this point, and maybe my SL will be at this low now, then targeting this point as my TP. This is 1:1.5. It is a good quality setup. Most of the time we think having massive risk to reward is always the case. No, the case is just for you to get the setup right. That is it. That is it. In all you're doing, just try to get the direction and the setup right. The risk to reward can fall in later, because if you are getting maybe 8 out of 10 right, then you can increase your risks. And then you can still maximize opportunity, instead of maybe just trying to catch 1:10 using little risks. You might end up swinging. Market might just leave in commotion and imbalance like that. So this might likely work out. Maybe when market opens, just continue with this buy to this point. Then this will be the TP target before the supply zone. Then now at this point, we need to wait and watch for what confirmation entry, like I've said. So when market drives to this point, want to see first maybe something like this, then maybe a sweep, or maybe, yes, I call this inducement, head and shoulder. Want to see the pattern like head and shoulder, then maybe a breakout, yeah, if possible, then a retest. This retest, now we can use a lower time frame to catch this. Then Ultimately, if this happen and this has a good confirmation, then we can write this down. This can be first target, because when market comes here, I know that it will react to some extent. Then ultimately second target for the week. So guys, first we have this for GBPUSD. We have this as a confirmation entry to follow the overall weekly directional bias, and then this is the first target TP and the second target TP. So this now I can shift it to this point. So this is the essence for me. Anytime I draw this head and shoulder pattern, this is just my entry model. This is what it looks like. So don't mind all these lines. It's just simple. It's as simple as it looks like. Supply and demand zone, your ability to spot good supply and good demand zone, and also to use the confirmation entry techniques. That is just your cash print system you are building already. All right, guys. So the last pair we'll be looking at is USDCHF. So let's look at that. USDCHF was good during the week. The setup wasn't clear. I was just waiting for confirmation, but no, it wasn't that clear. Okay, guys. So if you look at this, you see that okay, there was this trade we took from USDCHF, which went successfully well. So this one first TP destroyed. This was the first target. It was destroyed. Yes, and now this was the overall target. So now this was maybe another position, but notice now it has not been liquidated yet. It just came, it has not been liquidated. So now let's look at this market. I was expecting maybe there'll be a reaction at this point. So I marked this as a demand zone. But now notice, see what I did. I say market go up and then come down to this point and then reaction. And this was the reaction I was looking at, our confirmation entry, but this never happened. So I will go ahead and delete this, and delete this. So now what can we look at for? What can we watch out for? This is a trend. Okay, this doesn't make sense. This is a trend from this point. Okay, maybe let me see if this will be possible. Okay, but we can see that this somehow is a trend. You understand? Okay, this is a trend line is not fitting now. So now we can look at this market. Let's look at it from the 1 day. So you can see what happened. Wow. Okay, let me delete this. So you can see what happened. Market came all the way down to this point. And now what is it? This is a good support. This has been a support and it's still holding as a support. This is a kind of head and shoulder pattern. Left shoulder, okay, inverse head and shoulder. Left shoulder, head, and now left shoulder. And now this has happened. See this massive drop to the downside. It is something that is skeptical to comprehend, because the XY did not even drop like this, but USDCHF did, and I never caught this position. Why? Because I was just expecting buy, and that buy never happened. I'm telling you, it never happened. Like I just deleted. It never happened. It failed. But now another interesting thing is that we are getting some kind of momentum for this buy, and let's see if it will be possible. So let's see what can happen that can position us maybe to catch these buys, just in case it continues. So this now, first, for you to catch a continuation or a reversal trade, you need to be sure that is really a reversal. You don't need to just force it, because who knows, this market might just be selling right here. But since this is weekly analysis, having one trade setup from this will make sense, right? So first, what do I do? When I look at the chart like this, what do? I just mark out my zone. I can just see maybe a little this, I call it resistant supply zone, little supply zone at this point, and then I can see this low being formed. So now what am I expecting? I want to see a structure being formed at this point, maybe something like this. Then if I get a breakout from this point, I just want to get a little retest. Then my first target, since this pair first too, since this is USDCHF, this now is confirming this trend reversal. It is just confirming this trend reversal that is about to reverse now to the upside. So I want to see this first, then the breakout from this little zone, because now this will be a high. a reaction, a consolidation here, then I want to see this breakout, then a retest. After this retest, if you are entering this market for really a buy position, then maybe you can target any of these points as your first TP. So it might be like this. So please be careful with this retest, because now when you see the market come here and we want to catch it here for a buy, it might come here and still drop down, because it might be very weak to that extent. So you just really need to be careful, and it's just about confirmation entry, using confirmation entry. So but this, if you are catching this market for your weekly trade, you want to target this point. It is very safe. See, this even 1:4. So wait first. You want to get a reaction at this point, a breakout from the trend within, then a retest, and then you are catching it back to this point. It will make sense. Yes, and also this is another zone to watch out for as a supply zone. If it breaks that zone, then you can be ready to catch it up to this point as another TP target. Then now if you are catching it to this point, what will you look out for again? You want to close here, then ultimately you know that okay, to some extent of this is trend, but you just want to lock in some of the position at this point. Then ultimately this might be the next target if it will buy this week, and then this will be the final target. But now at this point, be very careful. This is a supply zone. At this point, be very careful so that you not just lost all your profits you have been holding from this point, because normally it even makes sense for market to retrace back considerably, maybe 50%, 70% before start dropping. If you want to drop, if it's a bearish bias, as the case may be. So guys, so this is where I just round off this trading analysis session. This is a cash print system, right? This is the update for the week. This is giving us positional advantage for the week, how we can print some cash. We have gotten one setup from gold, another one from US 100, another one from EURUSD, GBPUSD, almost instant, and now this is USDCHF. The goal is not to chase the trade, no, but the goal is to wait and see that these confirmations are made. Impatience is always that vice that dries your account. When you wait, you allow patience to work on your strategy and to work on yourself, then you position for quality rather than quantity, and that's how you can preserve your account and also make and multiply your money. Thank you very much. This trading has a whole lot of great opportunities for you. Trust me, you can make money with trading. Yes, forget about all the conventional saying. You can make money with trading. You can also grow money with trading, but be very careful. Knowledge is very important at every instant of your planning. So thank you very much. This is GBOSHE FX. Thank you for joining with me in this analysis session. I hope to see you next week as well. Do it to drop your thoughts, your comment, and your reaction in the comment section. Let's see as we can grow together. Let's see as we can improve. Maybe there was something you noticed and I did not put. Maybe just drop it at the comment section and I'll meet you there. And trust me, we will work this out and we will use this and build a cash flow system, and it will be wonderful and great. Thank you very much, guys. Do have a fruitful week. Do have a productive week. Remain blessed. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching till the end. Your time means a lot. If you found value here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs this. And when you're ready to grow with guidance, GBOSHE FX coaching is just one step away.